It's time now for us to take a look at some of our national and international news for this Monday morning. If you haven't heard, another ISIS militant has been killed in Russia. In this particular case, somebody who allegedly multiplied multiple terror attacks. This fellow was named an emir by the chief of ISIS. Now, all of this, of course, depends on your point of view about what ISIS is or is not. The point being that here we have another accused terrorist who met his death at the hands of a special forces squad, did not face trial, did not have any kind of accusations brought before him, simply was struck down, and now we have their word that we know who he was and what he did. You can read about it in the Mirror out of the UK, mirror.co.uk. If you didn't hear about what was happening with the Dakota pipeline protests, on Friday, a number of U.S. veterans, as many as 3,500, began to move into the area to defend the protesters and their right to do what they're doing. In fact, they even went so far as to build barracks for them to keep them safe from the cold. Now, the son of Wesley Clark, the general, actually went to the local law enforcement and informed them that they're going to have 3,500 veterans on site and that they plan to join the protesters and it's going to be peaceful. As that continued to ramp up, on Sunday the announcement came that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has denied the permit, which means that I guess the pipeline is not proceeding now. We'll keep an eye on that, as there was a Monday deadline for those protesters to get out of the area. Also, another story out of Russia, as Putin made an international proclamation this week that in attempts for a unipolar world has failed. So in other words, going from that idea of instead of there being multiple poles, multiple balances of power, we're just going to have one giant hegemony. No, he said that's failed and balance in the world has restored. We'll see if that means we're entering another Cold War. If you didn't hear about the Green Party, they have now dropped their Pennsylvania recount lawsuit, which means that Jill Stein's bid to have that recount kind of possibly challenging whether or not Trump actually will get the presidency, that is now floundering. It looks like it's kind of heading up against the rocks, so to speak. And one of the airships that Russia has, the Kaskatin ship, has been detained in Amsterdam due to what they're calling a technical malfunction. It actually has been detained for over or almost a month now, and they simply are not allowing it to leave the port. Also, the Huffington Post carries a scathing report on Donald Trump's team and how they cannot, quote, cannot back up their claim of illegal voting, but, quote, persist in the lie. Now, again, the fact that a claim was made, Pence himself, who was the vice presidential, what does he call it, the vice president-elect, he has said, that's just Trump's opinion. If you're going to say that something illegal happened and you don't have proof for it, I'm thinking that maybe we're going past an opinion and possibly into the well, maybe you need to have a little bit of proof to say what you're saying. Just throwing that out there for you. Also, Trump made some tweets this weekend warning of retribution for any companies that leave the U.S., taking their jobs overseas, up to a 35% tariff on their goods. So he's a free market guy, right? Also, if you didn't hear about the Oakland warehouse fire, at least 33 confirmed dead. There was a big party going on. Fire broke out. People couldn't get out of the warehouse. And you remember the alleged Charleston church shooter, Dylan Roof, back in court, allowed to represent himself. Now he wants to have his defense team back for part of it and then go back to representing himself in the penalty phase. Dude, get a lawyer. Just saying. We'll leave it at that. Hey, that's what we got for our national news. If you like what I'm doing or if you have some pointers for me, I'd love to hear them. Send me an email, steve@radiofreespeech.com. Check out the website, radiofreespeech.com, if you'd like to become a supporter. Got a number of different ways to do that. You can buy a subscription, or if you'd like to, you can become one of my Patreon supporters. All the details are there, radiofreespeech.com. Once again, you got a suggestion for me, please let me know. And scroll on down to get your Alaska news and a commentary for today. Today's commentary is on the caribou hunt that I went on this last weekend. Holy smokes, what a combat zone. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Thanks for watching. I'm Steve Floyd, and you've got it on radiofreespeech.com.